All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies class, I've been going through a series of video presentations. I should say I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. So far, I have gone through the entire Getting Started with the Web and the entire HTML Structuring the Web, which brings us up to right here. CSS Styling the Web. And as you can see, it consists of 4 sections. CSS First Steps, CSS Building Blocks, Styling Text, and CSS Layout. So that's what I'm going to be going over. Now, before we start talking about CSS, which again we're going to do, but before we do, we are going to, I just want to mention to you that my plan right now, I have been working on this kind of bogus website here, this I Love Missouri thing, where I put a lot of different stuff into it. And I've been going on with it, and what I'd like to do is after I get done with this section, so after I get done with this CSS styling the web section that you see right here, and I finish these 4 subsections, before I go on to the JavaScript portion, what I'd like to do is go in and really start building that website that we've been talking about, and in quite a bit of depth and breadth of coverage. All right, so with that said, let's just look at CSS First Steps here. Okay, so again, remember we have, this is broken down into, let's go right here. You learn to style the web using CSS. Okay, and then we'll go into the next section. So CSS is an acronym. It stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It allows us to style our content, our HTML content that we put in on the web. Things like setting up colors, setting up styles, I should say fonts, etc. While HTML is used to define the structure and semantics of your content, as it says right here, CSS is used to style it and lay it out. So that's exactly what it's for. And again, I've already mentioned things like font, color, sizing, and spacing, etc. So there's other things as well, and we'll talk about all of them as we go on. We've already gone over the introduction to HTML, so we've done the prerequisite already for this. All right, and we've looked at most of the rest of the stuff that's in here. So let's quickly just talk about this. This is going to be a 4-part series. And the first part, as you can see right here, will be CSS First Steps. All right. So as they mentioned here, this module provides a gentle beginning to your path towards CSS mastery with the basics of how it works, what the syntax looks like, and how you can start using it. So that's what we'll do first. From there, we'll go on to CSS Building Blocks. As it says there, this module carries on where the first one left off. It looks at the cascading part of cascading style sheets and a little bit about inheritance, the available selector types, units, sizing, styling backgrounds and borders, debugging, etc. All right, so it says that the aim here is to provide you with a toolkit for writing competent CSS and help you understand the essential theory behind it before we move on and in the last 2 sections talk about styling text and talk about CSS layout. So for the styling, here's some of the things that they mention here that we will go over. Things like bolding, setting fonts, setting italicizing, line height, letter spacing, drop shadows, etc. And then we'll end up going over some layout. And this is probably the newest, latest and greatest stuff for us to talk about in here. And that is, you can read the whole thing yourselves, but what we will talk about more than anything else are a couple different things. One of them being Flexbox and another one being CSS Grid. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about more than anything else in here. All right, so There's a use CSS to solve common problems. As it says there, it provides links to content sections explaining how you'd use CSS to solve different things. All right. Now it says here CSS is weird. It works differently than most programming languages and design tools that you'll come across. I can live with that. And I guess that I do at least somewhat understand what they're talking about. I don't like to go and put videos in my videos, but you might want to go and watch this one in here. It looks like
Do you know why
let's just
mobile-first
take a
companies
quick
choose
look.
Instabug Crash Reporting SDK?
So it's 15 minutes long. All right, by and there's links in here. I'm not going to run through it, but again, I haven't looked at it, but I would strongly suggest you take a look at it. With 1,300 likes and 16 dislikes, you can see that it must be pretty good. All right, let's just jump back then. As it says, CSS on MDM, that's the main entry point, fine. All right, so let's start it from the top, and we will jump into CSS First Steps. Again, there are 4 sections in here. The first one, as you can see, will have an overview. What is CSS? Getting started with CSS, how CSS is structured, how CSS works, and how to use your newfound knowledge. All right, so we will begin with the CSS First Steps overview in just a couple minutes.